much for staying until the end of the session, and thank you for being here to listen to my presentation. So I'm Selene Ghisolfi from Università Cattolica del Sacro Cuore, and this is joint work with Noemi Facchetti, who's now a PhD student at Zurich. Marco Lemoglie, who's also in Università Cattolica, and Giovanna Marcolongo, who is at CLIN in Bocconi. And the work I'm going to present is the very, very, very preliminary results from an experiment which we ran last year in schools in Naples, in middle schools. And the results basically come from the endline which was conducted in June. So please be a little bit lenient on the comments. The graphs are not really nice to look at, but hopefully they will be improved. So we started this project from looking at one very well-known fact, which is that Italy, which is unreadable but is around here, has a very low population with tertiary education and a very high, especially in the southern regions, percentage of NEET. And this somehow sort of screams that the attachedness of students to school can definitely be improved. One possible cause of this is that actually if we look at PISA data on happiness in school and on outcomes, we see that Italy is actually pretty much on the OECD average for outcomes, but quite below on the happiness scale. And we thought that this could be a reason why this unattachedness to school was happening. And I actually thank both Giulia, Marinella, and everyone before me to actually show you how important, experience in school and feeling of being included and is for learning. On top of this, we also have indicators from PISA data as well, that Italian students score much higher on anxiety related to school, and they also score lower on motivation. And this is because so this underlines that there might really be a problem of schools not caring enough on the non-achieving part of students, basically. The flip side of this coin is that, we know that dropout, so basically we know that students are not attached to school, so they drop out. Dropout is really something that we do not like because it affects negatively a lot of measures of person's outcomes in the future, but also it's created, it's created by bad environments in school, not only school achievement, but also a lot of other push factors, which are called, and specifically class climate, student-teacher relationship, and so on. This at least is something that's established in the psychological literature, although there is quite little causal evidence, experimental causal evidence of that. On top of this, since we work in the south of Italy, we also know that this is a region where pull factors, so factors that pull students out of the schools, are quite strong, because there is relatively high returns to the unskilled, and let me also add illegal, sometimes, labor markets, which actually increase not only dropout rates, and so decreases outcomes like income, but also in the probability of crime. The idea of this project is whether we could somehow improve class climate in order to keep children in schools more, and therefore have them less in both criminal activities and on the other side just in the NEET population. second part of this story is, okay, how then we improve class climate? And our idea was to work on Italian teachers. So from the Pisa side, Italian teachers are very much they feel like they are not valued by society. So we have basically 12% of Italian teachers agree with the statement that their profession is valued in society. That's like basically 1 in 10. And it's much lower than the OECD average, which is 1 in 4. There is a very high risk of burnout, which basically translates into very low ability to care for students, in a sense, because they're overstressed. And there is also indicator that exhausted teacher, stressed teacher have higher turnover, which we know is very bad for children, like especially during the primary and middle school. So the idea was also to have an intervention that not only improved class climate, but does so through teachers' well-being. And this is somehow like the theory of change I just outlined you. What we do is we start from teacher well-being, and I will show you the intervention we put up to improve that. Then we work our way through teacher-student relationship, students' engagement in school, and then student achievement and other attitudes. The intervention that we design, which I'm going to talk about a little bit, is basically a 1-year program where teachers meet with a psychologist doing something in between support and training, psychological training. And we measure well-being of teachers, both with psychometric measures and self-reported measures, at the beginning and at the end of the year, as we do for students. Then we are going to attach INVALSI data, we still don't have them, and dropout data. And we also measure teacher-student relationship with a measure of class climate, like standard measures of class climate, plus a measure of how students like teachers, basically. We asked students to give marks to teachers, which was actually extremely entertaining for them. So that was very interesting. And we also measure noise in the classroom using like a phonometer during the data collection days. Yeah, that was also a very funny thing for the students to see. So the context, as I said, Campania is one of the regions with the highest dropout rates, which is a problem now. It has been, at the start of this new law that mandates people to actually send their kids to school. And the sort of flip side of this is that actually they also score quite low on math in this case, or on standardized test measures. So the intervention which we designed was represented by this notebook which we gave to all the teachers involved, which basically includes 10 topics. 8 of them were treated during a 1-hour meeting. So 8 1-hour meetings during the year. And these topics basically go from, how do adolescents' brain work, what is effective communication, how to manage your own stress, how to basically include your colleagues and have your colleagues help. Online, students online, what do they do? How to improve motivation of students? Like we partnered with psychologists, like school psychologists and development psychologists in order to basically create tool teachers to improve their class management. And we have 58 schools, which we randomized. Half we sent a psychologist to, and the other half were not treated. And we basically, at the end, involved around 30 psychologists and observers, which were like psychologists or psychology students that would go together with the psychologists and basically note down what was happening during these 1-hour meetings. And 600 teachers around, and 2,500 students from these schools. So we did this starting from last academic year, basically, and then we did the meetings from some schools began in December, but mostly from January to April, and then we did end-line data collection in May. These are the schools in Naples that we worked with. The red ones are the treated ones, and the blue ones were the controlled ones. I'm going to show you today results coming from an ANCOVA specification. So what we do is basically we look at the difference in means, controlling for the initial value of the outcome variable. And we also control for age, for results on teachers, not only because we find age is completely correlated with, not completely, sorry, very much correlated with a lot of measures, but also because unfortunately in our balance that is the one measure that is also unbalanced. So despite we actually did the randomization checking for that, but apparently you can never be too right. So the impact that we find are negative in a sense on teachers because they report being less self-effective and more burned out, although we do not find effects on self-reported stress and on happiness. And we explain this also after some focus group with the teachers that participated with the fact that they felt they were safer to express that they had issues in the questionnaire. And this is something that we are looking at because on the other side we find an increase in teachers' reported availability to have psychologists included in the school, have refer students to psychologists, and having school psychologists for teachers. So we do find also a decrease in our measure of compassion fatigue, which is basically the stress of caring for other people's problems. We also find an impact on both the maximum level, although not significantly, and the variance of the sound we recorded in the class. Teachers' strategy for class management in the schools we went to is basically shouting. So basically this was something we were very happy about because not only it means that the maximum volume lowers, but also that the voice is actually more steady. And on the other side we find impact on student outcomes. So this time here you see our balance at the beginning. And here you see the impact. So it seems, so the quiz outcome is actually 10 selected questions from INVALSI because we just wanted to have that straight away. And it actually seems to increase a little bit, although not significantly, but what really changes is the happiness of the student. And we also find, so I haven't reported it here because we haven't done the analysis properly yet, but we also do find an increase in the measures of agreement with teachers and how much you think the teacher cares about your problems. So this, to conclude, we really think, we are really happy about these outcomes. We really not only want to show how important, students' outcome is teacher-student relationship and teacher well-being, but also how important it is to teachers and students. Like in a sense, we're not only we don't only care about students' school outcomes, like achievement and so on, but we also care about the somehow inclusiveness and niceness of the experience within the school for both the teachers and the kids. Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I didn't put the thank you slide. Thank you very much.